Okay, here's another old 78 RPM record player of unknown manufacture from the 1940s that I recently obtained. And this one actually has a good crystal pickup cartridge in it, like the Caliphone that we worked on yesterday. That's two good crystal cartridges in a row. Yeah, with luck like that, money might fall out of the sky for me in the near future. But anyway, someone has obviously worked on this thing. The power cord has been replaced with a new cord, and it does play, but the sound's a little bit distorted. You can see in the amplifier they've replaced some electrolytic capacitors, but all of the old paper capacitors remain, so all those will need to go. This is a 3-tube amp, probably a 50L6, 35Z5, and 12SQ7, so it should be of decent quality. No 3-volt cartridge here. Okay, that takes care of all of the capacitors, and this particular amp has an unusual amount of electrolytic capacitors in it. Most of these amps only have 2 capacitors for the main B+ filtering and possibly a low voltage electrolytic for the output tube cathode bypass. Well, this one actually has 4 capacitors in the B+ filtering. No cathode bypass capacitor for the output tube, but it has a 10 microfarad cathode bypass for the driver tube. Here, coming off of the cathode of the rectifier, we have a 68 microfarad, and I just guessed on that because what they had in there was 150, and I know that's probably a little overkill. And we go through this surge current limiting resistor, which is a 220 ohm into a 47 microfarad, and then a resistor coming from there to here, which is a 33 microfarad, which they installed and I left it alone. And then finally we have one more resistor coming from this capacitor to this capacitor, which is a 22 microfarad. And the 22 microfarad, was the original one, was still in circuit, is completely dried out and had no new capacitor jumped across it.
But sleep won't come the whole night through.
Well, that's it. Doesn't sound too bad. That speaker might need a little attention. Okay, I just examined the drive mechanism, and it appears that someone has already serviced it. I'm noticing looks like fresh rubber on the drive wheel and fresh mounting grommets, and this thing runs quiet, so that tells me that someone has worked on this, and I really don't see any need in me tearing it all apart again. So this one was relatively easy. Just replace those few paper capacitors and a couple of resistors that was out of tolerance, and cleaned up that electrolytic capacitor mess, and it seems to be okay. Well, I replaced the stylus too. One nice thing about being able to keep the old crystal cartridge is it has this little hook here that clips onto the tone arm wrist to secure the tone arm while in transit. If I were to replace this cartridge with something more modern, I'd lose that hook. But I think I ought to just leave this cartridge in here. It makes the second survivor in 2 days. Like I said earlier, if this kind of luck keeps up, money might start falling out of the sky for me. Okay, well, this is about all I've got on this one for now.
In the fountain, each one seeking happiness.
Tone control.
Thrown by 3 hopeful lovers. Which one will the fountain bless?
Okay, there you go. Short and sweet, unlike the last video, but like I said earlier, not much that needed to be done with this one. Okay, thanks for watching, and more to come later.